Wasabi wallet. Unfairly private.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Friday to you all. We are back for another episode of Why Are We Bullish? I've seen people on Twitter starting to actually use the acronym WOB, I think. So we'll call it WOB for short. Why Are We Bullish? This is the fun show where we get to have a panel and riff on our reasons for being bullish this week. There's plenty this week. It's been crazy. So we're going to get into all of that. As always, this, of course, is live, so anything can happen. So please do excuse any technical difficulties. If they do happen, I've got a quick message from my friend here.
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. And thing sucks.
Anything can happen, but hopefully we'll be all good. We're going to be checking the chat, bringing up some of your messages in there, so make sure you light that thing up. There's already damn near 100 people here, and we've barely gotten started, so smash that like button, give this a share to get it in front of more eyeballs, and that's it, man. I am Ben with the BTC Sessions, and this is your daily session. Here we go.
Hodl the Bitcoin.
All right, before we dive in, of course, let's take a look at the market, kind of see where we're at. We've been on a bit of a ride the past day or so. We're looking at we're just over 34K right now, which isn't too far off where we were yesterday around this time. But a lot has happened since then, because I awoke in the middle of the night to see that something had happened where we went from wherever the hell we were down like 32 something all the way up to like 38. And we'll discuss a little bit of what went on there and what may have caused that surge. It come down a little bit since then, but it's been a hell of a week. So we're going to be bringing in the panel here momentarily. A few other little metrics. One US dollar will now grab you 2,940 some odd sats. That is back below 3K. We had been lower, or rather, you had been able to pick up more recently, but that is diminishing again. So maybe you want to stack some sats. Have you stacked some sats today? In terms of how many Bitcoin have been mined, 88.64% of all Bitcoin ever have been mined. That'll be 90% by the end of the year. And if you're looking to get transactions through, it's been a busy day. 142 sats per byte will get you through in the next block. If you're willing to wait an hour, it's still 106 sats per byte. So be patient. Mempool's full. Bitcoin is busy. People want to use it. It's in demand. Before we bring in the panel, of course, shout out to sponsors of the show, LEDN.io, where you can use your Bitcoin for a variety of different services. If you're in a pinch, you need to get your hands on dollars, but you don't want to sell your Bitcoin, well, this could be for you, because you may be worried because that's a taxable event if you sell it. And also you may be worried about having to buy back in at a higher price. So with their Bitcoin backed loans, you can deposit Bitcoin, get dollars in your bank account within 24 hours. And when you pay that back, you get back the exact same amount of Bitcoin. They also have Bitcoin and USDC savings accounts with interest rates of up to 12.25% annually paid monthly. And they've got their B2X offering, which instantly buys you more Bitcoin using the same loan mechanism. If you want to check these guys out, links below. If you click that link and opt to get one of their loan products, they'll give you $25 for free into your savings. Up next, we've got the Cobo Vault, one of my regularly used hardware wallets. I love it because it's 100% air gapped. That means you never plug the thing into an internet connected computer. It's all done via QR code, open source firmware, secure element. Works with all my favorite wallets like Bitcoin Core and Electrum and Wasabi Wallet and Blue Wallet and a ton of others. And it's pretty badass when it comes to multi-sig too. For reference, I'm using the Pro. It's got the fingerprint scanner and the rechargeable battery. Check them out. Links below. Now, I live on Bitcoin. Obviously, I'm as all in as you can be. And I love that because it drives better behaviors out of me. I'm more conscious with what I spend my money on, but I do need to live. I got to eat. I got to get groceries. I got to get gas. I do a lot of that through Bitrefill, where you can find just about any any gift card you could imagine here, and you earn some sats back while you're there. So be sure to check them out. Links below for them. And finally, if you're backing up a wallet, you might not want to put it on paper because you're worried about fire or flood and water damage, or just accidentally throwing it out. You can put it on solid steel over at privacypros.io with the BillFodl, and yeah, have some more peace of mind with your backups. With that, we're going to start diving into our panel. We got some badass guys here. We've got Denver Bitcoin. We've got Danish Hodl. We've got Nico over from Simply Bitcoin, rather. And we've got Phil also from Simply Bitcoin. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you guys doing this fine Friday?
Doing good, man. Good to see you.
Amazing.
Yes.
Great, man. Happy to be here.
I think we're all feeling pretty bullish, eh? Yeah. I mean, when are we not? It's been a big week. We're gonna basically the theory of the show, or the way that we run this show here, is each person gets to give a reason, then we riff on it, and then we rotate and we go on to the next reason. So the 3 R's. So really simple. We're going to get this rolling. I'm going to start with my reason for being bullish. It may interject with overlap with a few of yours. It's kind of the news of the day, and we alluded to it at the beginning of the show, but middle of the night, Elon Musk changes his Twitter bio to basically mirror Jack from Twitter. He changes it to #Bitcoin, and then he tweets, in retrospect, it was all inevitable. And everything blew up, and we saw literally a $5,000 1-hour candle, which is hilarious. And you know, the internet went wild. Everybody was screaming bloody murder and either excited or mad or whatever. You know, it was just a tweet. It's funny that a single tweet and a Twitter bio change sparked a $5,000 1-hour candle. But it is what it is. And, you know, I think Elon's a relatively smart guy, I would say. You know, it probably took him longer than I was expecting to come around. Also, he's known for shit posting about Doge because it's funny. But hey, we'll take what we can get. I find it funny. It's in front of a lot more eyeballs. And given the other stuff that's gone on this week, which I'm sure we'll get into at some point, you know, welcome to the family, Elon. Welcome. Denver, did you see this tweet? Actually, obviously you saw it, but when did you see it?
Well, I mean, I saw a screenshot of it at some point, and you know, went to go see if his actual bio had changed. I thought it was hilarious that everyone related the tweet to his change in bio, because I mean, who the fuck knows if that's what he was tweeting about? I think in retrospect, it was all inevitable is a pretty blanket statement of for everything, right? I mean, landing on the moon in retrospect, it was inevitable. So I think it's just a fucking Elon thing to do, and the fact that there's a 15% pump is phenomenal. But I mean, we're living in probably one of the most bullish weeks for Bitcoin in this fucking history, at least as long as I've been around, which isn't all that long, maybe 3 years, 3.5 years. So it's perfect timing. I think he knows the timing of it. I think he I think he loves to get the internet, up in a whirl and everybody talking about it, because that's the the beauty of the information age, where all the friction between information is almost non-existent. So at this point, a tweet from the richest man in the world can change fucking markets. I mean, that's the reality we're living in, right?
He loves to stir the pot, and I love it's almost like why even go to the mainstream news when you can just watch a Twitter feed these days? It's so funny. It's perfect.
No, it's stranger than fiction. I mean, it's way stranger than fiction.
It's fantastic. Danish, how about you? When did you come across this? Were you up at night? Did you wake up in the wee hours of the morning? What's your story?
Yeah, so I go to bed pretty late. I saw it before I went to bed. I saw someone started tweeting that Elon had put Bitcoin in his as the only thing in his profile description. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's pretty bullish. Him being the richest guy in the world. Like, finally, when someone questions you, you can say, yeah, but the richest guy in the world is saying Bitcoin. So please listen to what I have to say when I'm trying to explain to you that money of the world is changing. So that was pretty fun. Then I saw the price pumping last night, 34,000, 35,000, and yeah, it was fun and games.
Yeah, 100%. How about you, Phil? What are your thoughts on Elon and the reaction to Elon, which is always insane, but regardless of what he's tweeting, but your thoughts?
Oh yeah. So essentially, I actually want to back it up before Elon, right? Zach of Earth, fellow Bitcoiner, put out a tweet yesterday, trying to get all the Bitcoiners to essentially start buying Bitcoin at approximately 4 o'clock in the morning. So I kind of playing a contrarian here. I'm kind of thinking that maybe this pump also had to do with all the Bitcoiners stacking their sats really hard, because as soon as I got up, I saw that candle and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that we pulled this off. And then I saw the tweet from Elon and I'm like, oh no. I'm like, was this the tweet from Elon then that did it? So obviously I stacked on the moment at 7 a.m. when I was supposed to, but was it really just Elon or was it the plebes?
Yeah, was it the plebes or the mogul? Who knows? The chicken or the egg? Who stacked first? I don't know. Nico, what do you think?
Man, it was so bullish. But look, Elon's kind of a troll, what Denver was saying. So you don't know whether he's being serious or not. He did have CEO of Dogecoin in Dogecoin in his bio. So you don't know whether he's being serious. But something quietly happened this week that was also kind of a big deal. Ray Dalio just announced, he came out with this article saying like, look, this is an amazing innovation. Of course, everyone was focused on the Reddit revolt and, Elon, but man, that was kind of a big deal. And he was kind of like a naysayer, and so was Elon. And just to watch them fall kind of at the same time, and the price of Bitcoin pump like 15% is just absolutely insane.
Yeah. It's wild to see. There's just so many things that go on. You never quite know what's driving things. We visited 38 briefly in the evening, and we're at like 34 right now. So, most of the quote unquote Elon pump has been erased, but how temporarily, we shall see. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's a tweet. It's a single dude getting excited about Bitcoin. Happens to be kind of an interesting guy. We'll see what other kind of crazy shit he tweets out. So I guess let's move to Denver Bitcoin, dude. Let's take a look into your mind, and maybe you could let us know what has you bullish this week.
Well, I mean, I should probably start with like a shorter list of what has me, not bullish. I mean, Bitcoin is such a practical fucking conclusion at this point to all of this nonsense all week, to all of the animosity felt toward, we call it the establishment or the elites, the people that can change the rules in the middle of the game and fuck the person that won. The animosity felt there. Bitcoin's a natural conclusion, right? The fact that something like a GameStop stock can act as a black swan and put every hedge fund manager and every big name person on the front of MSNBC going live, let's immediately call this emergency interview because this one stock might fuck up the whole system. Like, that's how it felt, right? Like that's what we all perceived. And it just makes people ask questions. It makes people think like, hey, how can they freeze up my account? It's like, well, no shit, they can freeze up your account. They just unbanked a, former president, for God's sakes. Like, banks are kicking people out left and right. It's not your money when you don't hold it. And Bitcoin is the only thing you can truly hold. I mean, even to the point where through physical force, people can come take your things. With Bitcoin, even through physical force, you can't get it out of me, right? I have to give you my keys. And so we're turning this corner, right? It feels like that all at once moment of, holy fuck, this thing makes sense for all of these problems, all of this, emotional investing that's being felt. It's this perfect conclusion. Fucking bullish. I mean, that's where we land, right? I mean, that's exactly where we're at. Hey, let's talk a little bit more. Let's take a more serious look. And then you Google it and you see, like you said, Ray Dalio talking about it and saying things like it's a incredible invention. Like, yeah, Elon Musk. I mean, perfect.
I love what you're kind of getting at here. The wake up call that it's given people in terms of like in relation to this whole GameStop thing, which I've talked about on the show this week, but anybody kind of that's been living under a rock, effectively, you know, a bunch of Reddit dudes got together and were like, oh, hedge funds are shorting GameStop. If we buy up a bunch of GameStop, they're going to get wrecked. And they went ahead and did it. And it was very much working. But at one point, Robinhood, the app, disabled buys for anybody to go in and buy GameStop stock, but they allowed people to still sell, effectively making it a one-sided market so that the hedge funds could not lose. So in doing that, though, it shone a light on, hey, if you have your money with somebody else, they can dictate what you do with it. They can decide if you can use it or not. And it's, again, the perfect example of not only why Bitcoin's important, but why self-custody is important. And I think moving forward, you're going to see people as they go to buy Bitcoin. Number one, they're probably not going to be looking at doing it on Robinhood anymore, which is great because Robinhood wasn't going to allow you to withdraw anyways. But they're also going to maybe look at PayPal and be like, oh, I can't pull it off there either. That's a problem. And they're going to go for other solutions where you can actually self-custody. So hats off to Robinhood for giving a lesson in why self-custody is so fucking important. I love it. But
even beyond that, real quick, beyond that, like the Wall Street Bets guys weren't just, you know, got together like, oh, there's a bunch of shorts on GameStop, let's go fuck with them. Like they saw a bad trade. They saw them way over leveraged to the short side. It was a naked short, 100+% of the outstanding shares. So they did what the free market's supposed to do, which is check anybody that makes a bad trade, right? I mean, if you make bad decisions, somebody's going to take the other side of that trade, and they're going to push you back to, you know, what you call rationale, right? A rational trade. So, like they were a function of the free market, and the fact that gets fucked with, it taints the entire market. No matter what the stock is, what the index is, it makes the whole thing feel like, you know, a facade.
Yeah, 100%. How about you, Danish? What's your take on, I guess, the implications, since we're on the topic of the whole GameStop thing? What are the implications here? How were you feeling as you were watching this all go down? Are you rooting for the Redditors? What's your take?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great day of coming to understand for Main Street that Wall Street is not playing fair. And I think that a lot of people have come to realize that the system is not working in the favor of normal people, and they need to start to look for other solutions. And that's where Bitcoin is just such a perfect solution, that we can not only have a better money, we can have a better money that is outside the realm of government, which is just very good, to be honest. So yeah, I think it's been a great event, highlighting to a lot of people faster, orange pilling them faster, that we need to do something else, and Bitcoin is the answer for that.
Yeah, 100%. How about you, Phil? What's your take on the whole GameStop ordeal?
Okay, so actually, I think that, so the GameStop ordeal is definitely, I think it's actually bullish for Bitcoin. I think what happened there is just tremendous for Bitcoin. And it was really cool to see this kind of spillover from the Wall Street Bets people into Bitcoin and asking about Bitcoin. And I even went into the Telegram and saw, unfortunately, there's some shit coining going on there. You know, there's people obviously trying to push them to go and buy absolute garbage. But there's a good interest in Bitcoin. But I wanted to say, though, for the thing that I'm bullish on, though, what I'm really bullish on this week that I've seen, I'm bullish on the central bankers. You know, they are doing, they are just absolutely great at being consistent. They're so good at not having a clue how to dig us out of this shit that they've caused. And all they can do is continue to print money. So it's fantastic. I'm so bullish on them. They're number one.
They're so fucking corrupt they can't help themselves. They're so corrupt they can't help themselves. They've got no option but to just increase their level of corruption and just get fucking worse. And just good for Bitcoin.
Out of their own way.
I love it. I love it. What about you, Nico? What was your take on the whole GameStop and like what it represents for Bitcoiners as a solution to a broken system?
Man, it's a continuation of this breakdown of the matrix, right? Because if you look back, like it's just all these events, the censorship, the questioning of the election, just all these the censorship of the president, and now breakdown and trust in financial institutions. It's just another institution breaking down, and it's just waking up more people to the reality. And once people wake up, they get naturally gravitated towards Bitcoin because Bitcoin is truth, right? So it's just another event, if this would have happened like a year ago, I would have been shocked. But this happening now, after everything that we've witnessed over the past year, it's not surprising at all. It's just it was inevitable, right? And those guys are our brothers. They're fighting the same fight. Unfortunately, they have the wrong tools, they have the wrong weapons, but eventually they're going to find orange pill, and we're going to win the war.
I love that. Yeah. And yeah, it's true. It's almost like they're attacking kind of the symptoms of the underlying problem. So they're going after, the institutions that have been incentivized to act the way they are, because up until now, they know that they get to privatize the gains and socialize the losses. They know if they screw up too bad and they're going to go under, they're going to get a bailout. And the only reason that is possible, if we go back to the actual problem, is because the money is controlled and can be printed at will. And because of that, it drives these types of behaviors, because we've set the precedent that they will always be bailed out. They're not going to be allowed to fail, especially if people deem it as too dangerous to the entire system, which at this point it kind of is. And so the only option is to opt out. And I think that's going to be the light bulb moment for a lot of these guys is, why am I playing here? Why am I in this kind of like walled garden that's only going to let me do certain things as long as it doesn't ruffle any feathers? And where can I go where that doesn't exist? And if only there was a solution that was traded 24/7 with enough options for markets and decentralized options that it couldn't possibly be shut down. And on that point, actually, there were people talking in the chat. It's kind of gone past already, but there were a number of places that actually stopped buys today for Bitcoin. And I think it was more potentially of a bit of a liquidity crunch. The difference being here is that they kind of disabled all functionality, and just in general, you couldn't execute anything. I'm curious what happens further into this bull market when we get those kind of liquidity crunches, because it was interesting. It was going up, and then you started not to be able to get Bitcoin, but it did start dipping. It did dip quite a bit after that happened. So I don't know specifically what happened, but yeah, interesting nonetheless. And I'm glad that things like BISC and HODL are out there. So, you can still swap peer to peer with Bitcoin, even when the markets are not allowing you to buy. So have those avenues prepared. And also, if you earn Bitcoin, you can just save it. You can be sitting pretty. Some people don't feel too bad, because if you already have Bitcoin, some people were trying to buy their first Bitcoin today and they just couldn't. So I guess that's a net positive if you've been around for a bit. Let's move down the line here. I'm going to pass it to Danish here. Dude, what has you feeling particularly bullish this week?
Well, so I mean, a lot of things happened this week. I try to zoom out a little bit. So next week, MicroStrategy with Michael Saylor is having their conference over 2 days, where they're explaining to other companies how you can go about in practicality to actually start using Bitcoin for storing corporate, treasury asset value. That has me very bullish, because so far, the curve of this bull run has been steeper than the last one in 16-17. And I think one of the reasons is that a lot of both people and corporations have realized since March last year when they started diluting the currency even faster, that, as Saylor puts it, holding normal fiat currency like dollars is like holding an ice cube in the sun. It's melting away. The value is disappearing. So it has sped up the process of looking for better places to store value as a corporation, as an individual. And no doubt the big money is with the companies. And Saylor next week is explaining to all the remaining public companies and non-public companies how to go about and put Bitcoin on the balance sheet. The fact that we got to hear this steep, this fast, and it's only one public company that I personally never heard about 1 year ago, I think we'll see a lot of things this year that will be, face melting. I didn't invent the term, but I think 2021 will be face melting because a lot of companies are like the whole game theory is coming into play, where they see that if they're going to be last on jumping on the train, it's going to be a lot more expensive than if they hurry up and understand what's going on and buying Bitcoin sooner. So that has me extremely bullish. It's not a near term thing, but I just think if we zoom out a little bit, 2021 is going to be mind blowing.
Yeah, I love that. I love that he's kind of just throwing that out there for all of these curious people, and giving them kind of easy ways to execute on that. And I love that he's doing that because he seems to have a good grasp, at least on the value proposition in terms of a store of value. Like when he talks about why he's buying Bitcoin, his logic is sound in terms of what he's doing as a company and why he sees it as a liability to be holding dollars and what you should be actually measuring inflation through instead of your candy bars and your Netflix subscription. You should be looking at hard assets that you actually want to own. So when he comes at it from that angle, and I've noticed him evolving over the past few months, but he can hit like a CNBC interview and smash it out of the fucking park and look like all of those news pundits just look like an absolute clown show. It's hilarious. Their questions are so bad and he nails it every time. So I can only imagine the people going to this thing are going to be floored because they've never quite heard anything like it and put so well. It's interesting because I do think that the institutions coming in through this, some of them will be subject to the same whims as like retail, right? They're going to hear bad stories and they're going to dump. Like we saw a company dump 100 and something Bitcoin on some bullshit FUD on a double spend that never happened because they don't understand how Bitcoin works. But I do think with Saylor doing events like this, he'll be able to drill a little bit harder home the actual value proposition here. So hopefully that helps. But let's go to Denver Bitcoin. What are your thoughts, I guess, on kind of how Michael Saylor's been approaching things in general, his little event, his soiree that he's going to host for all these big money institutions? What do you think?
I think Michael Saylor's a really deep thinker, right? He's an intellectual and certainly not an idiot. Plus, he understands the game, right? He understands the money game. He really understands how Wall Street works. And the fact that he values Bitcoin should be like a bright red flag for anybody that's even considered looking into it, right? It should be at least something that tells you, hey, there might be something here. Like, how dumb is this guy? Is he just trying to pump this asset to, revive his dying company? I think was a headline at some point. So, I think it's extremely bullish. The Wall Street attention doesn't escape the MicroStrategy story, right? In the same way that Ray Dalio would get related to Michael Saylor because of, they're both looking and talking about Bitcoin. And then there's a whole another story that's going to come out here in the next probably 90 days is, we broke all-time high in December. We have this whole Wall Street Bets issue with Reddit and, people being censored from their wealth. And then we have this week conference with, MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor. And then we got Coinbase that's going to probably do, a direct offering, like an IPO, but a little bit different structure. it's pretty much the strict validation of Bitcoin, right? I mean, it has utterly been validated. It's becoming a financial instrument. It's getting integrated into the financial world. It's here to stay, right? I mean, if they were going to shut it down, they would have shut it down. If they were going to make it illegal, they would have made it illegal. We're seeing a lot of the opposite in terms of regulatory aspects. Bitcoin's here to stay. So you can sit there, be a hater, and later on, absolutely fucking hate yourself because you didn't at least put a little bit of money into this thing because it might work. Or you can take a serious look at this thing and try to prove to yourself why it's wrong, right? And ask yourself, why is the dollar great? And I think what you'll find is it's shit. It's awful. Right? I mean, it's the perfect counter. It's the perfect, I guess, insurance plan on central banking, insurance plan on hyperinflation and the debasement of money. And there's no counterparty risk. There's absolutely no counterparty risk. There's nothing else like that in the fucking market. Don't tell me that there is. There isn't. There's no counterparty risk with Bitcoin, and that separates it from every other asset, period.
I love it. Phil, how about you? Are you pretty excited for Sailor to be out there spreading the good word? Shelly Mack in the in the chat says Sailor is the Bitcoin Jesus. Now, I will preface this, and I guess a good lesson or quote from the mouth of Matt Odell is if anybody steps out of line, Bitcoin will do its thing and just slay its heroes. So be happy that Sailor's doing a good job, but you never know, and if he does, then fuck him. if we can say fuck you to Trace Mayer, we can say fuck you to just about anybody. So nobody's safe. Like, Phil, what are you thinking about Sailor and how's he doing?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously it's super cool, right? What's happening? It's to Danish Hodl's point. I didn't know who the hell Michael Saylor was last year. I didn't know who MicroStrategy was, and I had traded stocks for a pretty long time. And anyways, like that doesn't mean you're going to know every single thing about it. But all that being said, he's able to do something that I've never seen and I think you touched on this BTC sessions. He's able to do something that I've never seen any CEO do, and that's talk about conspiracy type shit to a bunch of monkeys in suits, and they're all going to sit there and bob their heads. I've never seen anybody do it. Any one of us would walk into the same room and had this same conversation 10 years ago, and they just call security. Like, fuck are you talking about? Like, this is just fake money. Just go away. And that's it. You go away. But now they can't. They have no choice. It can't be ignored anymore. So I think that, circling back to Michael Saylor doing this presentation next week, I think is going to be huge. You're going to have a whole bunch of people that have really very, I think, little knowledge. And if they do have any knowledge, it's going to be very surface knowledge. And they're going to be attentive because he's doing something with his company that they are not able to do in a very difficult economic climate.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's interesting because it's not like he has that event and that's it. And the next day, boom, everybody buys. There's a waiting period. And I think he said from the time that he started, and he was pretty nimble, to the time that they could actually buy, it was months. So, you're maybe waiting 6 months from that event for people that decide to pull the trigger at that event. I'm curious if we see 6-7 months later after that event is the peak of this bull run. If it's the December 2017 of this year, because that's the peak of everybody buying. But then you also get the idiot corporations that don't know what they're doing, and some FUD comes out and they sell all their Bitcoin like a bunch of chumps. I don't know. But I do feel like we're still in that cycle. I do feel like we will see that cycle roll over. We'll see a bear market and we'll come back for another run. But next time, instead of institutions, it's nation states. So I don't know. Maybe I'll ask Nico here. What's your intuition here? Do you think that, you're going to, this event, you'll see the clock start to tick, and then 6 months later, it's going to be those 2 weeks in 2017 where we went from 10 to 20K, except for it's 100 or 200 to 300 or 400.
Man, those companies are so well capitalized. So it's like they're just going to be pumping in so much money. So I don't know, and it's very difficult to just ignore Michael Saylor because his stock went. MicroStrategy went from 140 last year to now it hit an all-time high of 700. Okay, you can't ignore that, and I think that's why all these companies have agreed to meet him. So, perhaps we do see a bear market. Perhaps we don't. No one knows. But what's important is if you keep on stacking, none of that matters.
That's very true. Again, like Bitcoiners that have been around the block for a few times, they just kind of sit this out now. Like you get the messages. They're like, "Why is it dropping? Why is it dropping?" It dropped. We're at 34K right now. What the fuck are you talking about? What? What do you mean? Like I don't know, man. Like Nico, are you basically dead to the world now?
Man, look, if you survive, all of us have been through this, but once you survive the bear market that we just went through, which was 2018, 2019, I had to go back to working real estate. I couldn't just mine. So once you survive that, you have your battle scars and you're battle hardened. Man, I remember Phil was telling me this morning, the price of Bitcoin pump. I'm like, you become so numb to it, because you're just used to it. And it's just a matter of just keep stacking sats, man. Everything is white noise. Everything is just noise. None of it matters. The important thing is stacking sats and staying sovereign and just, not participating in this messed up system that has been completely exposed for the last year.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we're about to get hit on the other side of things too when hash rate catches up, because right now we're sitting pretty at 150. I mean, it's an absolute joke. 150 and 30,000. I can't believe this is reality. So
it's gonna follow the same cycle. It's gonna follow the same cycle. Right now, me and you are on cloud 9, but I'm telling you, next year, the year after, we're gonna be like, bro, I have to go work at McDonald's, man. This is horrible.
No, you buy the McDonald's now so you can work there during the bear market.
It's painful, but no, we are kind of in this little middle area of bliss right now, right? Where
it's gonna keep happening.
Miners are happy.
It's gonna keep happening, bro, because the price is gonna keep going up. The more hash rate is gonna catch up. Me and you are gonna be sitting pretty because it's not gonna be added so quickly, and then we're gonna have a hell of a hangover. It's gonna be a terrible hangover. You're gonna be like, God damn, I'm an idiot. We think we're smart now, but let it go, bro. But as long as we keep stacking, you don't sell. Life is good.
Yeah. 100%. Everybody watching right now, there's 150 people watching live. Smash the like button, give this a share. We'll get in front of more eyeballs. We're going to keep going here. We got more reasons to be bullish. I'm going to jump over to Phil. I know you kind of mentioned a little bit about why you're feeling bullish, but if you want to go down a different route or just pound that home, and then we'll riff on your reason. But why are you feeling bullish this week, my friend?
Yeah, I totally screwed up, so I apologize.
No worries.
Too early, but that really was my reason for being bullish was the central bankers. And actually, I can riff on that a bit because what's his name there? The head of the BIS.
Yeah, the giant guy.
Carson,
the guy.
Yeah.
Did you see that? You guys must have reviewed that meme, right?
Oh, yeah.
Where it's it's his button that's a bench just burst. And what was the quote on it?
This is what the fiat system looks like, or something like that. It's hilarious.
Yeah, this is what's holding central banking together.
Yeah, exactly. But he made a ridiculous comment, which I think is just so incredibly hypocritical. I mean, think about it, right? You're at the top of this food chain, no pun intended. And he's, I'm sorry, but I'm just saying, okay. He's being a complete idiot about it. They all are fools, right? Because they know that they're just making everybody poorer. They understand that they're just printing ad nauseum, and none of it is backed by anything at all. Okay, and they have the audacity to sit there, put a picture of this guy, and say sound money. We know more about sound money. I you don't know shit. Are you serious? I'd be ashamed. I don't even understand. I don't understand how they can do something like that.
Yeah,
it's a slap in the face. It truly is. They really think everybody's an idiot.
Yeah, it's pretty astounding to see them start saying like just overtly saying we should be the only ones that are in control and able to issue currency. Nobody else should be allowed to do this. We understand sound money. We are the ones who can bring it to you. Clearly fucking not. Like that's why Bitcoin was invented in the first place. Like they wouldn't have anything to refute if they were doing a good job. And so it's mind-boggling to see them try and come out and like the cringy shit that you see coming out of a lot of these traditional institutions. Even like when we go back to kind of the beginning of when all the lockdowns and stuff were happening, but there was a really bad video from God, what was it? It was like the insurance on people's money in banks. What's the name of the FDIC? Yeah, and they're talking about FDIC insured banks and basically begging people not to have a bank run. Like the money's there. Don't worry. Don't go to the bank and take it out though. We got you. It was just like the worst. Like they're trying to
Trust us.
reassure.
Trust
yeah,
us.
Exactly. It's crazy. Like
How scary is that?
they're getting more desperate in their messaging. And right now, it's this weird mix between like anger and bargaining. It's like all of the phases of grief at once kind of happening. They're trying to fight back. They're trying to bargain. They're like sad about it, but like I don't know. Denver, what are you thinking about central banks and their handling of this impending doom?
I mean, that's hilarious. The Bitcoin grief is a hilarious concept. That's worth a book if somebody out there wants to write it. Talk about the stages of Bitcoin grief from a central banker's point of view. No, I think Coinicarus nailed it. I mean, first of all, sound money to come from a centralized, small group of people. That's a fucking oxymoron. Okay, and this guy comes out there and puts his big face out on Twitter and makes an oxymoronic statement about sound money, and that's supposed to make everybody feel better. Like, you're right. How dumb do they think we are? I think that you just got to look at like the M1 money supply chart. Look at the M2 money supply. Look at the fact that they removed all reserve ratios for lending banks. I mean, banks don't even need your fucking deposit to loan out money. So every customer they have is a fucking burden, right? They don't even want to help you. They don't want to provide customer service because you don't bring them any value anymore because the money is so fucked. I mean, it's an absolute disaster. Central banks, they're crooked. They won't last. They can't survive against Bitcoin. There's a better alternative. I mean, they're fucking toast. They're toast.
Yeah. It's actually in the same realm of reserves. So Canada has no gold reserves now. We haven't had gold reserves since 2016, and we're the only G7 nation to not have at least 100 tons of gold in reserves. We have zero. Also, our central bank and the government said that they will inject at least 4 billion per week until everything improves. What do you say to that? Like, Anders, what are you thinking? What are you thinking?
Well, I mean, Denver, he totally stole my line there because I was working on this whole oxymoron setup. I saw the same tweet as well. So I guess it's a matter of, the more the merrier. We agree how stupid it is when someone from the central authority says that put sound money and central bank in the same sentence. Dude, it doesn't compute. Sound money means we don't dilute it all the time. It stores value. If you look up money in the dictionary, it says that money can store value, but fiat currency is not money, clearly, because it's a built-in policy that we want to kill the value. We want to dilute it all the time. So yeah, that was just a mind-baffling joke, and it kind of just shows you how far this has come. What a joke it is. When they can come out and say something that is so clearly wrong to people who just spent 5 seconds educating themselves on the issues here.
Yeah, I mean, if central banks have been bringing us sound money and are so good at it, then clearly the head of the BIS has been eating fat-free chocolate cakes this entire time. Like they're super healthy, and he's great at managing his diet, right? Like that's basically what they're saying to us. They're like, we're good at this. It's like the Belgian health minister. I don't know if you've seen, but it's like, why are you even? it's like so in your face that you're like, why would we trust the advice of said person? Like if I'm going to a personal trainer, that person better be ripped. They better be in the best shape. They better know what they're doing. If I'm going to somebody for sound money, they better not be inflating the fuck out of the currency. Like it's just naturally you gravitate towards what's actually going to work out based on past results. So I don't know. Let's jump down to Nico, dude. What are you feeling about central banks, their response? How are they dealing with this?
Man, they're screwed, and they keep focusing on this fact that like Bitcoin isn't money, that Bitcoin's too volatile, Bitcoin's whatever. But the thing that they don't understand, they don't quite get, is that a lot of us, it's not that orange number go up. That's nice. It's the fact that we're taking possession over our wealth, and we only own those keys. And just that fact alone, the other guys are totally screwed. They're screwed. And what Bitcoin did is it shined a light of truth, right? Before, all of us, we were asleep. We were asleep. We would look at this behavior as if it was normal. And now we see Christine Lagarde signing, the euro note. We're like, that's monopoly money. We see this guy that's been inflated by inflation. If you pop him, gold coins is going to come out. And he's just standing there totally dead serious saying, we are sound money. We're the central bank. These guys have absolutely lost their minds. They're so out of touch with reality. It's not even funny, but everyone sees it. It's just, they're already dead. They just don't know it yet. Now, the death process is going to be bloody, and these guys are going to use every tool and piece of propaganda necessary, calling Bitcoin for money laundering and all those buzzwords. But Bitcoin's going to win. But it's hilarious. It's hysterical, man. I'm enjoying the show. It's almost as if it was a parody, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you see that sentiment coming out in the early stages of this, right? Like you see, even jumping back to the GameStop thing, they shut down this Discord server of them for hate speech, right? Like they went and you saw things like articles saying the Wall Street insurrection. You see the language being shifted around as basically taking people that just want to have their own monetary sovereignty and turning them into basically modern day terrorists. That's the language that it's moving towards.
And they banned their Discord. And you know what the reason was? Hate speech, right?
Yeah.
And you know what Bitcoiners have been saying? This hate speech thing is going to get dangerous. No one listened. It's exactly what happened, right? As soon as you start going against the narrative, question the Rona, question what happened last year, question any of the mainstream narrative, all of a sudden you get canceled. And they had a guise before. The guise was hate speech. It's like, how long could they get away with this for? That's the question, right? And man, it's a hell of a ride. And I'm just protected by this orange force field. It's awesome.
I love it. I can see the aura, man. I can feel it. We're gonna stick with you for a second. Because we've gone through. We've done Phil's reason. We're gonna take Nico's reason while he's feeling bullish. But before we do that, I will say there's almost 185 people watching live. Guys, thank you for being here. Make sure you smash that like button. You give this a share, tweet it out, whatever the hell you need to do to get some more people watching this. Let's see it hit up over 200. Let's go for that. And I'm sure it'll be a good reason because Nico is going to fucking kill it here. Dude, why are you bullish? Please tell us.
Man, look, these guys did an amazing job. I think they broke it down. And I just want to focus on another aspect. We just heard Harvard, Yale, and all these Ivy League schools announced that they've been buying Bitcoin for the last year. You also saw the mayor of Miami host the Bitcoin white paper and also announced that they're holding some Bitcoin as reserve versus, the ultimate shitcoin, which is the dollar. Man, that is absolutely insane, because now you have the elite class, that are, so behind their PhDs and masters. When they start to see Harvard and Yale endowments start buying up Bitcoin, they're going to start asking questions, right? So it gets to a point, and I think that we've already crossed this invisible barrier where if you're a money manager, right, and you're not holding Bitcoin at this point, man, you're an idiot, like flat out. And it's gotten to the point that I got a text like 2 or 3 weeks ago from a buddy that a buddy of mine that works at Goldman Sachs. We went to high school together, and he sent me a text. He's never going to admit it. He's like, a buddy of mine wants to buy some Bitcoin. Where can I get it? And I know he bought Bitcoin right then and there. So it's like we're seeing this capitulation that is happening all around, not only in Wall Street, also in retail. And also now the big endowments, which make up a large, percentage of the capital in the United States. So, man, and now you have the mayor of Miami as well. So it's like you're starting to see that the next epoch, which is the nation states, you're already starting to see little governments here and there putting some of their reserves on Bitcoin.
I like the epoch take. Again, like it's interesting for me. I mean, yeah, the endowments I find super interesting. The Miami thing I find very unique because it's like basically the lowest level of government starting to dip its toes and saying, we're going to hold some of this as reserves. And I think this is just the early inklings, the early stages that are hinting at where the next epoch will go, because it becomes cities, then it becomes states, then it becomes actual nation states. I think that's just the snowball effect that we'll see. Miami is ahead of the curve. You might find Miami sitting on more Bitcoin than most nation states in the future, just because of the timing of when they managed to get in. 5 years out, what they have in reserves, it's going to be very difficult for an entire country to get its hands on that if they keep stacking. So, just like the earliest Bitcoiners that were lucky enough and had the foresight to actually hold on to their Bitcoin, nobody will ever eclipse that. A lot of companies can't eclipse that. You're going to see a lot of low-level government that can eclipse what companies were able to stack this time, and you'll see a lot of nation-state level governments not able to eclipse what companies were able to stack this time. So it just keeps snowballing, and I love that you're starting to see the inklings of this. And like Harvard and these other major universities, like they're not particularly stupid with their money. Like they're conscious about what they're doing, at least I would imagine. But yeah, it's interesting to see the types of minds that are gravitating towards this. Denver, what are you feeling about whether it be the Miami or the universities or just nation states? We saw Pakistan start looking at mining and everything and approve that too. So
yeah, I think Nico nailed it. I mean, it's something maybe that's easy to brush off or forget because it's not as specific as MicroStrategy. Maybe you don't know the total amount of Bitcoin that these schools are holding and things, what their position is. But institutions putting any kind of money at risk with Bitcoin is a slow process. So that means that they were looking at this likely end of 2019 if they made moves in 2020. They take, like you said with Michael Saylor, it takes time. And institutional capitulation it's kind of that last frontier to a Bitcoin adoption, to where people understand that this unit of account that can't be disrupted, can't be debased, is going to be our reference point. It's going to be universal and something we want to accumulate. To the nation states, I think the thing with Miami is partially political. Who knows what other shit's going on there? But nation states are going to get involved. Some of them already are with mining, Venezuela, Iran, Russia, and some of them are settling trade in Bitcoin. So we're right at that all at once moment, I think. I didn't own Bitcoin running up through the 2017 bull market, but what I feel like the anxiety, the anxiousness, the anticipation I feel is unlike anything I've ever felt before. Again, every aspect I go to, every topic of conversation that especially has anything to do with financial investments or storing value, it all comes back to Bitcoin as being an incredible and practical tool for so many people to utilize, right? It makes energy producers better. It makes nation states healthier. It allows them to actually transfer their tax dollar value over time in a better manner. It's so practical for everybody. It only makes sense that the slow movers are starting to move. And as people know that Yale and Harvard already won. I mean, if they bought in 2020, they're sitting pretty today. And any school that's out there that didn't do that feels that pain, that competitive, like, we have a $2.5 billion endowment. Like, why didn't we buy 1% into Bitcoin? Who needs to be fired? Who do I need to hire in order to do this? So those conversations are happening. It takes time, but what we're seeing, I think, is that precipice right before peak mania, I guess is what you would call it.
I love it. Yeah. I'm going to say, guys, we passed 200. There's more than 200 people watching live. Smash that like button. Give this a share. Thank you for being here. We're going to move down the line. Anders, what are you feeling about whether it be nation states or endowments or just the influx of interest? Where are we going with this? Who's next? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a good question. Who's next? Because when MicroStrategy came in, it could kind of surprise most Bitcoiners. We weren't waiting for companies to actually start using Bitcoin to store value. We were waiting for countries to start taking it on. But what I will say is that every single month we hear about new big entities, be it companies or institutions, hedge funds, whatever, that come in. But we don't hear about a single one that leaves. Every single month, new ones come in, nobody leaves. Guess what's that going to do to the price? Price will go up because demand is increasing, and these guys are not putting it back for sale. They're not leaving, so that's very bullish.
Yeah, I think they've got stronger hands than most. They'll still be, like the idiots that just dumped 100 Bitcoin for bad FUD and didn't bother to look into it. But,
Sorry.
but those are the stupid ones. I wonder if that makes the next bear market a little bit more shallow. Like if it doesn't dip quite as badly as it has in the past.
Yeah. So I mean, if I can jump in on that, I think. So the previous bear markets have been like 95% down, 90% down, 85% down. I think we're lucky if we see 50% down. I mean, in terms of, lucky, I don't know if you can call it lucky, but I still think we will have a bear market, but it won't last 1 year. Maybe it'll last 6 months. If it lasts that long, it's anywhere between a bear market and a correction, I would say right now. We're getting very close to the final total takeover. Bitcoin as money of the world. We're close. I think we're really close.
Awesome. And how about you, Phil? What are you thinking about institutions and endowments and all of this coming in, and how does it affect, assuming we have another cycle, how does it affect it down the road? Is it the same kind of roller coaster ride, or are we not going as steeply down?
Yeah, I think Danish Hodl nailed it. I mean, I just don't, yeah, for sure, man. Like, I just don't really, I just don't see us dipping as much. Keep in mind, right? Like, there's a different mentality in Bitcoin that there is, even with a traditional stock, the board of directors, they can add shares. And not that I'm trying to compare Bitcoin to that, but to the average person, and they look at it as investments anyways. So, a board of directors, they can dump shares, they can do reverse, they can split them and do all this stuff. So even if you hodl, they can still dump on you, okay, to a certain extent. Now, when it comes to Bitcoin, it's a different type of person, and it's a really different type of mindset where, we see the Bitcoin price run up, and for me, I'm just concerned with the fact that I'm getting less sats when I buy. So I'm not concerned. I'm not talking about selling. I'm not thinking about that. What I'm concerned with is I'm getting less for my money now because the price has gone up. So I think that we are absolutely going to hit this inflection point where, the fact that And sorry, one of the people in the chat commented about this, that this is the first time we get to front run Wall Street in history, and it's true. Like, we get to front run everyone. Like, for the first time ever, there is something that is, you know, actually by the people and for the people, and it's something that we all can benefit from, the increased value and use and adoption of Bitcoin, where it's not just a tiny little group of people benefiting from all of the network effects that they create for themselves. So yeah, I just don't see the slump. I think, like, you know, maybe we get 50-60% dip because there are going to be some people or some institutions that just don't know what they need to know yet, right? And they're going to get scared shitless. Like, trust me, I don't think people are ready to see this thing drop. Like, you know, like it did from 20K down to 3K. If we look at it from here, that type of drop as well, I think that would freak people out. But to hodlers, like, I'm looking at it like, all right, I finally get to buy the big dip again.
Now, there's a good question. There's, I guess, not a question, but somebody has a concern in the chat. They said, well, honestly, we're handing Bitcoin over from retail to Wall Street. In my opinion, dangerous to assume a similar cycle. So, I mean, in one instance, yeah, dangerous to assume a similar cycle, maybe if you're acting on that. But I don't think any of us are like, oh, we're gonna sell all of our Bitcoin and then we're gonna buy all of it back. Like, we're not putting everything on the table and getting rid of it and trying to time the top and the bottom perfectly. Now, Anders is toying with the idea of cycles and trading a bit, but he has like a long-term stash that he deals with in terms of that, and then he's got like his smaller portion that is like his play money based on, you know, the perceived asymmetric information. Now, in terms of the danger of Wall Street owning Bitcoin instead, I mean, again, when you look at it, like almost 89% of all Bitcoin has already been mined. And a lot of that is sitting in retail hands. There's like a small, I think between 10 and 20% of Bitcoin is like on exchanges. A lot of it is self-custody. That includes, I suppose, the institutions, but like if they want to hold it, like, they can buy it. If you want a piece of that pie, you can buy it. If you don't want to sell your sats to Wall Street, don't fucking sell your sats. Hold on to those things. The only people that are at risk of Wall Street stealing their Bitcoin are people that are stupid enough to sell their Bitcoin to Wall Street. So don't be stupid, and be smart. So yeah, I don't know. Do you guys think it's risky? Anybody can jump in here if you know your thoughts on Wall Street buying it all up.
You know what? I don't think Bitcoin needs Wall Street. To be honest, I know that everybody's like super happy and this and that and the institutions and yay, but at the end of the day, Bitcoin doesn't give a fuck. It turns out another block and it doesn't need it. So if they're not going to be able to bend it to their narrative, it's just not going to work. Too bad.
Anybody else worried about Wall Street, or I mean, they're not getting your sats, obviously.
I mean,
no, it's go ahead.
Sorry,
Nick.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, Nick, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right.
Let's take Anders first, then we'll do Nico.
Yeah, I'll do quick. So almost 19 million Bitcoin have been mined, and what is up for sale is not that much. So Wall Street can do all the buying they want. We'll still have the majority of Bitcoin in the hands of long-term hodlers and people who mined early on. God bless them. They took a chance on Bitcoin. Yeah, but Wall Street is not going to own the majority of this. It's way too late for them. There's only 2 million left, and then a little bit. So yeah, I'm not worried. It's all good.
And the person's talking also about over leveraged margin trading, but I mean, like, if they're over leveraged, the beautiful thing about it is if they're shorting Bitcoin, and they're worried about, and they put themselves in a position where they have to risk it all. You have places like Robinhood and others that could shut down trading, but those are limited, right? You can still, it still trades 24/7 across the globe in multiple jurisdictions, and there are consistently more decentralized options for trading, and there's a limited amount. So if somebody's going to over leverage themselves and do margin trading, I mean, there's on top of the fact that it's hard to stop trading globally, it's not going to happen. There's nobody to bail them out in the end either, because even if they were to get bailed out in terms of dollars, you know, what's the game theory now? They bail them out in dollars and they try and buy back all that Bitcoin, but they can't afford it because the price continues to go up. So they get bailed out in more dollars, which further devalue the dollars they're trying to buy the Bitcoin that's going up with. It's just, it cycles through until the dollar is just completely useless toilet paper. So yeah,
well, I think there might be, if I could chime in, I think there might be a little bit of what I would call like Wall Street risk, or when I think about that is I do think that some retail could get hurt, right, by companies like either a BlockFi, and I think we've already seen this, right? We've seen this with Quadriga, we've seen this with Mt. Gox, but I think, you know, the depository, the custodial, things could get a little fucky, right? And I think that there could be some bad actors, and at the end of the day, you know, retail would be the ones that are less screwed usually. So, and again, it just kind of comes back to what's the real tool that is Bitcoin, and it's really the custodial aspect, right? All the beautiful characteristics of it would be shit if you couldn't hold it the way you can hold it. And so, you know, I really think that it's a balance between how people approach this asset. A problem is a lot of the, you know, boomer generations and older ones, they want somebody else to hold their money. But as, you know, as younger generations come online, more, I guess, technically capable, it's, if retail gets a hold of their own coins and they're not so greedy and enticed to give it to Wall Street, look, I mean, give it right back to them. You're right. Wall Street, they're not going to be able to leverage very much, right? I mean, there is no lender of last resort when it comes to Bitcoin.
Yeah. And I just pulled it up, but dude, the same thing goes for margin longs. If people want to, if they want to margin long it, I mean, you can get equally screwed, but it all comes down to where's the custody of your coins. If you're not gambling and you have your own custody, you can't get liquidated. So, you know, like I would worry personally about your own stash, and treat it accordingly, because again, if you hold your Bitcoin, then nobody can fuck with you. It's like, it's the orange aura that was encapsulating Nico earlier. It's there and it will keep you safe. It's like the Force, but for self-sovereignty. So like
it completely levels the playing field between the big guy and the small guy. Wall Street doesn't have an edge anymore, and we know what they do with that edge. They shut down trading because they can't have the little guy win anymore. But with Bitcoin, you can't do that, bro. So, man, I'm very happy to take some of that Wall Street money, bro. Who cares? F them.
Yeah, and I would say also to people that are watching this and they're curious about, well, what happens if just every place doesn't allow us to buy anymore? You know, that's like the nightmare scenario where you don't have enough Bitcoin and you can't get more. I did do a video on BISC, which is a decentralized peer-to-peer exchange. And so, yeah, are there more hoops to jump through using it? Absolutely. But it also cannot be shut down. So if you're interested in learning about that, you may as well learn about it early. So if shit does hit the fan, then, you know, you're immune to it. And those that learn early will be insulated if shit hits the fan sooner rather than later. And those that don't learn about it early will just have to learn about it quicker when the time comes. So, but the option is there. There's BISC, and then there's HODL HODL. There's, you know, peer-to-peer. You can talk to people locally, you know, make those connections now just in case.
Well, even beyond that, you could always just go buy a miner, plug it in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Make relationships with your local miners. Meet the bros down the block with the snow-covered roof that's melting in specific spots. I mean, they might be growing weed, but they also might be mining.
It's all freedom. If I can just jump in real quick, you were talking about leverage. I think what is really important to understand is that when retail was leveraging on BitMEX, we could have a long squeeze, which means that if the price corrected they would be pushed out of the positions, and then a lot of Bitcoin would be put for sale. So essentially, when private people leveraged before, it could accelerate a downtrend. But when guys like Michael Saylor buy Bitcoin through convertible bonds, they don't put the Bitcoin up for collateral. So why is that really important? It's really important because if the price of Bitcoin drops down, Michael Saylor is never forced to put the Bitcoin for sale. So it creates another kind of floor where you don't have the same sort of overreaction to the downside. It's really, really important and can't be overestimated. It's very bullish, to be honest.
That's a great point.
Great. Yeah. Some of it, I am not as plugged in to, I guess, the traditional finance realm in some aspects, because I'm so, you almost, a lot of Bitcoiners learn about these things backwards, right? They know that something's wrong. They hear about Bitcoin, and then they start learning about money. And then they start going, oh my God, is this how fucked our money is? No wonder this thing was invented. Like it's this backwards learning experience where you get introduced to the new, better thing. And then you spend years learning how bad the old system was as you adopt the new one. Is that similar journey to you guys or what?
Absolutely, man. 100%.
Well, yeah, my journey was, I went to go learn how Bitcoin, like how it was produced, right? Because I figured that's where the scam was, because I had learned about the dollar and I knew that the central banking was a scam. So I thought, I was reading headlines about Bitcoin, the bubble popped and it was, a Ponzi or whatever. And so I went to go figure out how it was produced, and I realized this is a way better way. This is a way more fair way to have open production markets for money, right? It makes way more sense than what we're doing right now. And that was orange pilled.
Yeah.
It's so crazy that video of the Federal Reserve banker. You guys have all seen this video because you guys are on Bitcoin Twitter, where they asked him like, so do you just print the button? I mean, do you just press the button and print? And he's like, well, the Federal Reserve has the capacity. And the guy's like, so you print? And he's like, yes, we do. We print. Man, it's like, why do we pay taxes, man? I don't get it.
Well, no, yeah, he asked him right out. He's like, do they have infinite amount of money? And the guy's eyes get all big. He's like, infinite, all freaking serious, like unbelievable. Like they have no shame about it.
Like
looks like the guy. Looks like the guy was smoking crack before. His eyes are this big. He's like, I love the money printer.
It's nothing to be proud of.
Yeah, dude's a psychopath.
Oh man, I'm very excited for these even just the next few weeks here. I feel like it's going to be very similar to 2017, even in kind of like the stretches between like our pops and our drops. I was looking at, somebody tweeted out kind of a couple different charts showing kind of the trajectory of 2017. And again, there were like 7 major pullbacks through that whole bull market. And a lot of them were like around 38% in that range, but also the distance between those markets, between the tops and the pullbacks and surpassing that previous top. The earlier ones were like 40, 50 days, somewhere around there. We're like 3 weeks in or something like that. And then as it got towards the end, it gets shorter. I know, Anders, you're probably just aching because this is like part of your whole strategy on eToro. He's like, are you still way up there in the rankings on eToro?
Yeah, I still have the most copiers and assets under management in US. I think I have about 5 times as much assets under management as number 2. So yeah, I'm still doing okay.
That's awesome. Maybe just quickly talk about,
boy,
because you were talking about some of the signals that you were looking at from before when it was getting toppy, and your kind of like your play money. You were talking about what you're looking for.
Yeah. So what's important, of course, to understand is I'm not looking for fiat gains. I'm trying to see that with a small part of my Bitcoin, if I can make more Bitcoin out of that. For me, it's buy and hodl and don't touch it is a great strategy. It works for 99.9% of the population. But to me, it's a challenge, an academic challenge that I'd like to see if I can win. And so what I'm looking for is, I don't think, look, the top will be beyond 200,000. So I'm going to chill until definitely we're beyond 200,000, likely beyond 300,000 now, to be honest. And I will be looking for how steep the curve is. The last 100% of the bull run happened in 16 days. If we go back to 13, it happened in 5 days. Now we're steeper than 17. So I want to see the last 100% means price double happening in less than 16 days. And I will be looking for that, not until we have to at least 200, likely 300,000. And then also I will be looking for a kind of, buy the rumor, sell the news kind of event. So let's not forget that in 17, the Bitcoin bull run had its peak exactly when CME launched the futures. So there was a lot of anticipation there. That happened to be the day of the sell-off. Tesla last year, yes, it's higher now, but it had for a long period, it had its top exactly when they did the stock split. So these kind of like single events tends to be, people will hold it until that happens, and then they use that day for selling. So I think it's likely that if we have a correction, if we have a bear market, it will be started in one of these like specific dates that people are anticipating.
Are you going to sell the top? Sorry.
So yeah,
Sorry, I just wanted to let Anders know that Plan Marcus says he's a degenerate gambler. That's great.
You are a degenerate gambler. You're
as
good
long
at
as
it,
you're
though.
a conservative degenerate gambler.
Look,
then,
yeah, it's so here's the deal. When I spoke to you at BDC sessions and explained this on your channel, I think it was back in September, October. Correct me if I'm wrong. My plan was to like sell it all near the top, buy it back near the bottom. I currently think that let's say the risk, which is a positive thing, the risk of us going straight into hyper Bitcoinization this cycle has definitely increased. So I will not take more than 10, 20% off the table in what I perceive to be the potential top, and then try and buy that back cheaper, because I have a responsibility right now for more than 2,500 people that have trusted, a big part of their savings with me. And I cannot have them hold less than 80% in Bitcoin in case we go to the moon and Mars and interstellar and intergalactic. So it will be a smaller part, and, we may just, I don't know, maybe we'll just hold all of it and just go to the moon.
Dude, either a lot of people are going to send you champagne, or people are going to show up with pitchforks. So maybe either or.
Well, at that point, he'll be able to afford a citadel with a moat with the other 80%. So,
yeah,
it'll be okay. I hope you're starting construction now, though.
No, I mean, so honestly, a lot of the people on eToro, they come, like, there's people you consider noobs, but on eToro, they come with like zero investing background. And I got to be honest, a lot of them, they reach out to me and say they're so thankful because they came in, they were starting to look at all the shit coins and didn't know what they were doing. And I'm spending a lot of time explaining why Bitcoin is the only money, why it's a winner takes all, why this is the future. Luckily, the performance of Bitcoin have helped me to have a better performance than the shitcoin portfolios. And a lot of people are telling me how happy they are that they came in, know nothing, and double or triple their money, which is not really me, it's Bitcoin, but still they need someone to hold their hands. And that's what I'm there to do. So what I'm looking at, in my opinion, look, the worst case scenario, if there is no pullback, well, maximum 20% will be in fiat currency, but that 80% is going to do 500x from now. So I think they're going to be okay. A lot of people are grateful, and I'm happy that I can help them steer them towards Bitcoin, honestly.
Yeah. Well, dude, I mean, I'm thankful that you're not shilling the shit coins and you're helping people see where the value lies. And like you said, for 99.9% of people, buy and hold, stack regularly, and you're fine. but you know, you're a degenerate gambler, as we all know, and as coined by the chat. But yeah, you know the risks, right? And you're conveying them. So you know,
If I can just
pulling for you.
If I can just add to that, because every single Bitcoin I talk to, all of them are telling me that, yeah, I will take some profits off the table after 200,000. I am no different. So I'm saying, instead of taking profit off the table and spending it on a mortgage, I'm going to take profit on the table and pull it back into Bitcoin. So you know, don't call me a trader, because I will allocate more to Bitcoin than people wanting to buy you know, in real life consumer goods.
I'm not calling you a trader at all. I'm just saying you have balls of steel, my friend. Because I don't know if I could do that. Sell. I don't know what selling feels like, bro. I don't even know that. You know, I haven't experienced that yet. Soon I will. I think on my Cash App, I have like $7 that I sold, and the only reason I sold it is because I went negative because I bought too much Bitcoin. You know, right. I guess I'll have to experience it. But I agree with you. I think you'd be smart to take some off the table, but I don't know. Like, I'll cross that bridge when I get there.
Nico, I'm not saying that you're calling me anything at all. I'm just trying to explain the train of thought that I'm going through. I'm not trying to be defensive at all.
I you know, and I've got the opposite side of the spectrum where literally every day I'm kind of like, I got to pay bills and I got to buy, like, survive on day-to-day expenses with Bitcoin, because like that's the majority of my income now. So, but I will say, like, I do get some income in dollars, which is very minimized. That's what gets spent first, because dump the shitcoin first. But then after that, I've just become so much more selective with where I spend my money. And like, you know, in certain instances, because I actually value my wealth, and my wealth actually values me, because it's actually a good representation of my time and effort that doesn't degrade over time. I'm more careful with what I buy. Oddly enough, I'm more likely to buy the expensive, high quality thing that's going to last forever, instead of the trinkety bullshit that a culture of debt has forced us into. And I'm more likely to get, you know, local people to build stuff for me that I'm actually going to value, and it's something unique. It's changed my rampant consumerism into getting high quality goods for the most part. And yeah, but it's more difficult, because every time I go to spend, I'm like, oh, fuck, do I want to actually purchase this thing? Yeah, it makes every purchase a little bit more of a second guess. So but that, I mean, I think that's a better quality to have than just being like, yeah, fuck it, swipe, debt. So yeah, I don't know. This is my struggle. Guys, this has been awesome. I'm super stoked. We did have over 200 people watching live at one point. We're still up in that range. I've had a blast here. Thank you all in the chat too. You've all been playing along here. Plan Marcus, don't worry, nobody was offended, even though you called Anders a degen. That's okay.
I love Marcus.
He is a
degen.
He is a degen.
Yeah, exactly. but yeah, no, it's been a blast here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go down the line. Gentlemen, I'm going to get you to quickly just let everybody know where they can find you, and, you know, anything you feel like shilling, you can. Let's start with Denver Bitcoin. Where can people find you?
I'm Denver Bitcoin on Twitter, and same thing on Medium. I've written some articles on, you know, energy and Bitcoin mining. I currently mine Bitcoin in the oil field using flared gas. So, you know, if that's something that interests you, I probably will just continue talking about it, because I can't stop. So, you know, you're welcome to come consume my free content.
Awesome. And let's jump over. We just had Danish talking, Anders talking, but let people know where they can find you. Somebody was already asking in the chat where they can find you on eToro, or like how to find it.
Yeah, I mean, if you start with my Twitter, it's at ANDERS_, and from that you'll find my link to eToro. You'll find my link to Toxic Happy Hour that I'm doing with Poppy that we're having a lot of fun with. We did it earlier today. We had 6 toxic ladies on. It was a lot of fun. I think it's the first time we lost control of the show, actually, kind of, to the ladies. It was a challenge. So yeah, I think that's it. Thank you very much for having me on, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Nico, Coincarus, Denver. We had Denver on also. Hope to have the rest of you on, and Benny, you've been on. Yeah, thank you very much for having me on. It was a blast. Appreciate it. Thank you.
No worries. Let's jump to Phil, aka Coinicarus. Dude, where can people find you?
All right, so on Twitter, I'm at Coinicarus, and I'm the host of the Fun with Bitcoin podcast and the co-host of Simply Bitcoin.
Awesome, love it. And your other co-host is beside you on the screen, Nico. Let people know where you can be found.
You can find me on Twitter at BitVault7, but my name is Nico. Man, if you need a place to host your ASIC miners for relatively cheap, you can go check out bitvault.com. And if you want to see Phil and I talk crap about Bitcoin every single day, 10 to 15-minute videos, Tuesday to Sunday. It's not every single day. I lied. Anyways, go check out Simply Bitcoin on YouTube. It's a pretty awesome show. It's not as awesome as BTC Sessions, but hopefully one day it'll get there. Anyways, guys, I hope we see you.
Awesome. Guys, I've really enjoyed having you all on. You're always welcome back here. I'm going to drop your video and audio really quick as I sign off, but I'll come back to say goodbye after the show is closed out. So everybody, thank you so much for being here. Holy crap, that was a blast. I had a lot of fun. The chat was blowing up. We have tons of people watching live. Maybe it was the timing. Maybe midday is not ideal for most people. I should have known. It's weird how that happens. But of course, as always, you can do a few things to help out the show. Of course, if you are watching this on YouTube, you can hit like, subscribe, and share. All of those things really do help. It helps get this in front of more eyeballs, and that does more than I could ever ask. But if you choose to help out the show in another way, you can hit up the previously mentioned sponsors. That was LEDN, Cobo, Bitrefill, and PrivacyPros.io for the BillFodl to back up your wallets. And if you really loved what you saw, you can always hit me up with a Lightning Network tip at my tippin.me page. That is tippin.me/@BTC Sessions. With that, I'm out. Have yourselves a wonderful day or a wonderful evening wherever you may be, and I will see you guys next time for your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.